Hello everybody, my name is Boris from New World Audio Production here in Melbourne, Australia. You probably heard before the terms pre-production, production, mixing, mastering. But do you really know what is involved on each stage of the audio production from demo to finish master song? Well, after the intro, I'm going to answer that question.
Great humans answer the call. Climb mountains, standing so tall. Gone over the top, it's all downhill from here. Great humans, we praise ourselves. Come on, praise me, you know it helps. We've reached the top, but it's all downhill from here. Go live your life. See if the grass is greener on the other side. You feel alright in the night when I'm holding you tight, and you cannot see the edge. Something annoys us, it isn't fair. You blame the government, the media. They're over the top, it feels like it's all downhill from here. Standing to slipping.
So what you just saw was a little bit of each different part of the production. So the pre-production, the production, the mixing, and the mastering. So now let's break it down into different parts and let me show you what it's in each part of the whole process. So let's start for the demo or the pre-production, how I like to call it. So the demo is basically a very basic recording with just maybe one instrument, maybe two instruments, one vocal, and that's it. That's all you need. And the important thing on the pre-production is to know the parts of the song. That's the very important thing about the pre-production. That's all you really need. So how long is going to be the intro? How long is going to be the verse? How long is going to be the chorus? Where are the chorus going to be? Is going to be a bridge? Is going to be a pre-chorus? How is going to be? So all of that is normally done on the pre-production. In this case, let me show you what I do here. We are looking at the song called Downhill from the Sherpas with Altitude. So Matt, the singer and songwriter of the band, came to the studio here, sit right next to me, grab his guitar. I put one microphone in front, and he just recorded everything with one microphone. That's all he did. And as you can see here on this session, it's called demos. So I have here not just Downhill, but I have here, I don't know, 15 songs, maybe something like that. On the final album, there are going to be only 10. So we decided, okay, these are the best songs. We worked that the 10 songs are the best ones. So let me show you what I did here on this specific one on Downhill, which is just an acoustic guitar. As you can see here, acoustic guitar, a vocal. This is a program drum. This is a click, a metronome, but it's only working right here at the front, at the start of the song. After that, there is no more metronome. The program drum is doing the metronome. So let me show you one by one what it is in there. So acoustic guitar first. Then the vocals.
Reach the top, it's all downhill from here. Now go live your life.
And the drums. This is very basic. As you can see here, everything is very basic.
Reach the top, it's all downhill from here.
So this is very far away from being a finished song, but it's giving you an idea of where the parts of the song are going to be. So I know this is my intro. So this is how much space I have in the intro before the vocals start. In this case, I have 18 bars of verses. I think it's a pre-chorus in here somewhere, so probably it's less than 18 bars. But anyway, you get the idea. It's giving you the map of the song. That's the basic thing that you need to do. In this case, he uses a guitar because it's the instrument he plays. I put the microphone and that's it. So, and it's a little bit of reverb here just to make it sound a little bit more comfortable for him to sing. On the acoustic guitar, there is a little bit of EQ and a little bit of compression. And then the same for the vocal, there is a little bit of EQ and compression there just to make it a little bit more nicer for him to hear back. A little bit of de-essing on the vocal and just a reverb. So that's it. It's a very basic session. Doesn't have to be very complex at all. So let's move on to the pre-production. Once we have the demo done, we move on to the pre-production. Let me show you how that looks. So now we are here on the pre-production session, and as you can see here, it's a lot more channels. As you can see straight away, you can see it's a lot more channels. So that is because I went into his home. He has a little rehearsal studio in there. So we record actually drums and bass at his place. So I took my laptop, my interfaces, my microphones. I set up everything on his studio. And the drummer and the bass player, they played live to the demo. So that little demo with acoustic guitar, the drummer and the bass player, they were playing back to that. Because that have the timing of the song, the tempo of the song, what's decided how long each section of the song is going to be. So they played it hearing just the acoustic guitar. So this is how it sounds, the pre-production, once it's all recorded.
Humans, you've answered the call. You've climbed mountains, standing so tall. Gone over the top, it's all downhill from here. Great humans, we praise ourselves.
Okay, so this is the production. What it means? It means that all the elements of the song, all the instruments of the song are already here. So once I done the pre-production, I took that into his studio. We record drums. We come back here with the drums and the bass, and he start recording guitars, and he records the vocals all here in the studio. And we start adding elements and more elements and more elements to make it more interesting. So here you can see are all the drums on this first part in here. Then it's a bass here. Acoustic guitar, electric guitar, another electric guitar right here, and vocals here. If you notice, the vocals are double, so he doubled the vocals on the whole song. We ended up not using the double for the whole song, and here are the backing vocals. All right, so those are the elements of the song. It's not a very complex song at all. So it's one drum, one bass guitar, one acoustic guitar, and 2 or 3 electric guitars playing different parts on different parts of the song. So this is where you want to actually start adding elements to the song, start adding arrangements. Let me show you one thing that we did on the intro. For example, the intro was just this acoustic guitar and nothing else. And then he came with the idea of doing a whistling. So let me show you what it looks now, the intro. Alright, so we actually added 4 bars to the intro to add that whistle because that was not part of the song before. So that is always that something can happen. Don't think that because you did this demo like this, now we have to say it like this forever. You can go back and change parts, and that can happen even in the mastering. For this specific song, actually I have to, when we were mastering the song, I actually have to go back to the mixing session and re-record some vocals because he was not really happy with the sound of the vocal, with the melody of the vocal. So we have to go back and re-record while we are mastering. So everything can change at any time. Nothing is fixed here, so don't be worried about that. So as I said before, production is this. Throwing elements to it, arranging the song, finding different sounds, different guitar sounds. For example, in this case, we found this nice guitar sound that we really love from the amplitude. So yeah, we found that. As another electric guitar here. There are a few more electric guitars here. There's a little solo over there. There is another thing we add at the end. So at the end is a lot of different guitars. But we added this little effect over here. So for example, things like this, to make it more special. Then you go to the mixing, and then the mixing you can add even more ideas. So let me show you what we done in the mixing. So now we are on the mixing session, and let me show you a few differences between the other sessions. So the one thing that I want you to really pay attention and is really important is that on the mixing session, I like to have full clips per each track. That means that I try to edit everything I can on the production session. While I'm recording, I try to edit everything I can in there. So when it comes to the mixing session, I have the least amount of clip tracks around. If I open here the list of the clip tracks, and I open this one, you will see that I have all of these clip tracks in here. If I go back, sorry, I forgot to do this on the other session, on the production session. But if I go to the production session, you will see that this list is kilometric. It goes forever. It's a lot of clips everywhere. And that is taking a lot of memory of my machine. So that is why I like to clean everything I can, come back with consolidated clips, try to have the least amount of clips possible. That is just to free up some memory for the machine, because I know I'm going to use a lot of plugins, and that takes memory from the machine. So that's why it's very important, if you can, to do that. Be careful not to delete the files that you really need, all right? And not the originals, that's for sure. But as you can see here, I have edits done in this session also. So it doesn't really matter. It's something that I like to do, but I know it's never going to be 100% like that. It's always some edits, last-minute edits. And in this specific case here, the vocals, as I said before, were completely redone. Not completely, but mostly redone from the originals. So don't be worried about having to edit on the mixing session. It's going to happen. Doesn't matter how you work. It's always going to be last-minute edit. In this case, for example, here in the snare drum, after I start mixing the session, I noticed that some of the hits of the snare drum was really, really loud. So I have to go one by one and put them down. Specifically on the trigger, I was using a trigger here to help the sound of the snare drum. And on this specific channel here, some of the hits of the snare were just out of control, so I have to go manually and take them down one by one. But yeah, it can happen always can happen. So don't be too worried about having to edit on the mixing session. But other than that, you can see here is a lot of inserts now. So you can see it's a lot of inserts on all the channels, EQs, compressors, effects, all kind of crazy stuff. And that is all done on the mix, because now on the mix, I have all the elements of the song. Now I want to make them sound better. I want to make them live together in a better way. So everyone will have their own space. Everyone will have their own space, not only on left and right or on center, but sonically their own space also, their own frequencies that they're going to be occupying. And I do all of that sculpting basically with EQ and compression. That's all I use. It's no magic sauce. But let me show you how it sounds now, the mixing session. One thing you might notice is the volume, the overall volume is very loud. That is because I like to mix with a very good margin of volume. If you see here on the master bus here, let me show you, let me play the chorus for you. And you will see the volume is normally around around here. I don't want it to go too close to the top. All right, so I have enough room for improvement then on the mastering session. If I go too close to the top, I'm starting to be too close to distortion, so I don't want that. But other than that, you can see here is all the automation done. I do all the automation here on the mixing session. I do all the EQ and compression and effects. All is done on the mixing session. So now it's sounding a lot more polished, a lot better in every single way. So that's the mixing for. Once you have done your demo and you decided how the song is going to be, you go to the pre-production, you add all the elements of the song, and then you go to the mixing session in which you make every single element sound better and cohesive as a one piece, as a one band in this case. That is the mixing session. Let me show you now what I'm doing on the mastering session. So we made it to the end. So this is the mastering session. Over here you can see on this session that I have not only one song, but I have many different channels. That is because I have the whole album in here. The 10 songs are right in here. Let me put this like this so you can see it. So all the songs are in here. So now, every single one of these clips here are actually songs, are individual songs. So now I don't have 60 channels per song. I have only one channel, one stereo channel, and that's it, stereo track, and I have the whole song in here. So now I cannot work on individual elements. So the mastering is just the last thing you will do at the end. The mastering is when you grab the last audio file, the last version of the mix you have, and you bring it to a more professional and polished level. But let me show you how the mastering sound on this case. This is with everything on. All right, so this is the mastering session now. As you can see here, I have my channel here, and this is the master. Here is the last channel where every single song is going through. Let me show you what I do on the mastering. I have all of these plugins in here. So the first thing I normally do is to apply a little high pass filter to filter everything below, in this case 23 Hertz. Sometimes I go up to 30 Hertz and filter everything if I need, but in this case I haven't feel the need of low passing that high. So on 23 Hertz is a low pass, taking down all of this rumble and things that I don't need. This is rock, so it's not going to be reproduced on a very massive subwoofer probably. And then the other thing I'm doing is taking a little bit of low end in here on these two frequencies, 164 and 94 Hertz. And I'm taking only 1.5 and 1.7 dB. So take a look at this. It's just a little touch. I'm not doing a lot of EQ on here. Just little things that I'm making it sound a lot better. After that, I'm applying another EQ, this time for the high end. I found that these two frequencies were a little bit harsh for my ears. So I broke them down a little bit, just 1.2 and 1.5 dBs, just that, nothing else. And a little bit of high shelf in here. So after that, I'm using the Abbey Road DJ Mastering Chain, which is a plugin that I absolutely love for mastering. And actually, I have made a video a few months ago, I think 6 months ago, when I just got the plugin for the first time. And it's just a first impression. I'm going to leave a link in the description below if you want to take a look. It's a really good good plugin for mastering. You can actually use it for everything. It's very musical. That's the truth. You can put the knob all the way up or all the way down, and you never will overdoing it. Obviously, you can overdo it, but it's difficult to overdo it. As you can see here, for example, I'm applying plus 4 dBs on 11 kilohertz. You might think that I'm crazy doing that in a mastering processing, but it's actually not that bad. It's actually what I have to be done, because this is not something that is aggressive. Is this thing? It's very subtle. It's very musical. Then I have compressor in here that is taking maybe 1 or 2. No, not 2. Just 1 dB probably of compression in here, and I use it because this is also very musical. It's not aggressive. Can be aggressive if you want. You can make it, you can use the modern setting here, and it's going to be very aggressive. And then the filter. The filter is something that I really, really like to use on the mid-size configuration. All of the modules you can set between stereo, duo, and mid-size. But the only one I normally use like this on mid-size is the filter section at the end of the chain. So what I'm doing here is actually separating the center channel and the left and right channel. So I'm treating them differently. And here you can see the M is for middle, so the center channel, and the S is for sides, so the left and right. So I'm applying different EQ to the different channels. So on the middle, on the center, I'm taking down with this low shelf on 15 kilohertz, which might seem like it's a lot, but again, this is a very, very subtle plugin. Yeah, it's difficult to overdo it. So I'm taking everything from 15 kilohertz, I'm taking it just down. Then I'm adding a little bit of 1.4 dBs on 2.8 kilohertz. And then finally, I'm not using the high pass at all. And then on the sides, I'm doing the opposite. I leave in the high end, not touching the high end at all, but I'm taking off a lot of low end. I don't want to have bass, a lot of bass on my sides. So that's why I'm applying this 80 hertz high pass. And I'm adding 2.5 dBs on 4.2 and no low pass. That's in the sides. And finally, I'm using this spreader. This is a very, very, very nice element on this plugin. You can really easily overdo it because it's so nice. That's the problem. Once you start putting it up, you want more. That's the truth. But it's very dangerous because what it's actually doing is taking the left and right channels and applying, I don't know what magic, but it's very, very, very nice because you feel that it's opening, widening the music. But it's very dangerous because if you put that in mono, a lot of the things that are on the left and the right are going to disappear. So use it with caution, okay? Don't overdo it. I'm actually, for example, you can see here I'm doing 1.2. But yeah, that's the DG mastering chain from Abbey Road. And then the SSL compressor that I really like. Again, it's taking only maybe 1 dB, nothing else, nothing crazy. After that is some tape emulation that I really like. I have a few on this computer here, but I like this one. I don't know exactly why, but it's adding something on the low end. It's specifically more on the low end. I really, really like how it sounds on the low end. So I normally use this one from Slate. And in this case, on this song, I found out that after all of this processing, I was having a little bit of harshness on this frequency here, 3.784 hertz. And I use a dynamic EQ. I'm not using an EQ. I wasn't listening to that specific problem all the time. It was on a specific part. So I don't want to take that frequency all the time, only when it's a problem. So that's why I'm using the dynamic EQ, which is taking down that frequency just a little bit every time that frequency goes over the threshold that I set in here. As you can see here, it's minus 36 the threshold. So every time that frequency goes over that threshold, the compressor will bring that down, but only on that frequency. It's very helpful for mastering and for everything, but for mastering is very, very helpful. This is how it sounds. Let me just turn off all the processing, and I will turn it on again in the middle, so you can compare how it sounds with mastering and without mastering. So start without mastering.
See if the grass is greener on the other side. You feel alright in the night when I'm holding you tight, and you cannot see the edge.
All right, so that's the difference between only mix and master. I think it sounds a lot better. Obviously, the other thing I'm doing, once I finish with this, I send everything to this channel, and here is the L2. The L2, it's a limiter, so it won't let the sound go over a specific limit that you set. And what this does is brings the volume of the whole mix up, but applies a limiter, so nothing goes over. Never can distort, but never will go over a specific limit. As I said before, in this case, I'm mastering this for Spotify. So I'm using, after the L2, I'm using the WLM from Waves, which is a meter, and it's telling me my loops. In this case, I normally, even if I know that for Spotify is -14, the required LUFS, I like to do it at -11. Sometimes people like to listen to Spotify without the normalization on, so it's a little bit more volume. It's not hurting anybody. As you can see here on the L2, let me show you. I'm gonna press play here, and you're gonna see that the attenuation is just barely touching in some parts.
See if the grass is greener on the other side. You feel alright.
It's still retaining a lot of dynamics. I'm not making a square of my audio, so it's all good. And it's -11. It's close to -14. But yeah, anyway, it's the way I like it. So this is my whole chain. Some EQ, some compression, some of this harmonic distortion in here, limiting, metering, so I know the volume I'm getting, and that's it. It's ready to Spotify. It's ready to be released. So that's all the difference. So let's do a little bit of a recap. We have the pre-production, in which you are going to record one instrument and one vocal, and the main goal of the pre-production is to know how the song is going to be, the parts, all right? How many parts, which, where, when. That is basically the map of the song. After that, you jump into the production, and then you start adding elements, adding arrangements, adding more stuff, maybe changing the intro, maybe adding little bits that were not on the demo. That could happen. That is production. You record. After that, you go into mixing. Mixing should be everything recorded already. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes you have to go back to production and record a little bit more. But mixing is when you have all the elements done in one session, and then you start working on specific elements to make them sound better, not individually, but to make it sound as a song, as a band playing together. All right, so all the elements are there, but you have to make them work together. After you finish the mix, you jump into the mastering session. The mastering session then is the last resource. You just make little adjustments here and there. You shouldn't be doing crazy EQs or crazy compressions unless you really want to do it because of creative decisions, but not because you have to get rid of large amounts of frequencies that are not good enough. Mastering is just little adjustments. And obviously volume to be released. That is mastering. So those are the basic differences. So I hope by now you have a very good understanding of what is involved on each stage of the music production, and hopefully this will make better your workflow. So as always, please remember to subscribe to the channel, to like the video, to leave a comment below on how is your workflow. Please share the video with the world, and hopefully I see you on the next video. Thank you guys, see ya.